Okay.
It always makes you cry.
He made my punch list.
And that was our first fight. Time is a flat circle.
Like 2 people are gonna get this.
Love kale.
Ew. I want him to crawl to me.
Now that was spicy.
Your Honor, I love him.
Why choose means you don't choose.
I want a third act breakup because I want him to grovel.
There are exceptions to every rule.
Trust me, I'm a father. Don't worry, Daddy's got you. Welcome to chapter 24 of the Smut Daddy Podcast.
Hi,
Hello,
guys.
everybody. We are joined with our first ever repeat guest because we love her so much. So what better time to make her come back on and chat with us? Our Lemmy Lim from Luna
Hi.
Literary. How are you?
Hello,
Hey,
babes.
ma'am.
Oh, I'm great.
Welcome back.
I feel
Has
so.
it-
I know. I feel so honored to be the first repeat guest.
Well, it honestly made the absolute most sense because of what today's topic is. And
We needed a little assistance.
whenever we think
Happy
of
to help.
taboo, we think of you. That's
You.
my
Oh.
Valentine to you.
Wow. I'm so honored.
You honestly should be because a lot of people are really into. We've had a couple people ask, like, do you have taboo recs or anything like that? And I'm always like, I got 3.
I have about the same.
So this will be a great episode. I already know. Before we dive into a smidge little backstory on you, just in case anyone missed our first episode, you know, we always like to chat about what we're currently reading. I sometimes just talk about what I'm watching because I don't get a chance to read that much right now. But Britt, do you want to go first of what you're reading? Or what you just finished up with?
Yeah, this past week I will not talk about it still, but I did finish Onyx Storm, so I am happy that I now can stop avoiding spoilers like
Yes.
the plague and can watch whatever I want.
I can make a story and link it of a couple podcasts that I know that are deep diving it if they want, but ours will still come like end of summer to give
Yeah.
everyone enough time to
I know there's some
read
people
it.
that I've been chatting with that still haven't been able to get to it, so
Yeah.
we will just leave it at that. And then I went into a Devious Arrangement by Jay Wilder arc that releases on the 20th, so soon after this airs, probably, I think. So finished that and love that. It's the 3rd book in the Twisted Vows series that she's doing. And this is with Bash, and I'm not sure if it's Anastasia or Anastasia. Like, she's of Russian descent, so I'm not sure how they prefer that
It's
pronunciation.
probably Anastasia then.
With
Just
the Russian.
with the
Yeah, no,
we might
but
have
it
to
was
get
really
a
good.
clarification
Enjoyed
on
that. Yes, we will have to get clarification. And then I just started my very first Chelsea Curto book, Camera Chemistry.
yes.
It's a novella, so
I read that one, I think. I think Renee Vesper had me do it for 12 for 12 last year.
yes, it's when strangers meet for a photo shoot.
Yes.
And
it was
then
good.
Fun.
they get together afterwards. So yeah, I'm about 54% through that and loving it. And I did start back up my audiobook of God of Ruin. I had
yeah, by
paused it
Pam?
because I was I had paused it because I was immersion reading Onyx Storm and I wanted to give its full attention to it. So I am now back into it and about like 20 chapters in, and it's just starting to get interesting. So
I need to do that because that's pirates, right?
yeah. Yes.
I have like a couple I want to do. Like there's the Ever King or something duet
Yes.
that's pirates as well.
Yeah, Ever
I've seen
King
it.
and Ever Queen.
Yeah, I heard those are good too. So maybe I just need to like
I did
switch
grab
my
those on
fantasy.
Audible sale, so I am looking
Oh, did you?
forward.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
gonna borrow those.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm gonna borrow those because maybe I'll like pirates while I'm in fantasy land.
Yeah, it's been fun. What about you, Lem? What are you reading?
So so since I was preparing for this, I read Step Brother Dearest by Penelope Ward.
Oh,
it was it was short. It was
Yeah, I love Penelope Ward. I've read almost everything by her. How was that? That's one of her newest releases.
It was good. It was kind of like a second chance situation. Like you get their like high school when they first met. They were like 17, 18 years old. And then like years go by and then they're reunited and the whole drama of it all. So it was good. And you only get her POV until the end because he wrote a book and then he wrote like their story. So then like you're reading his POV.
I'm kind of into that.
Through like his writing.
Oh,
It's cool. Yeah.
I really like Penelope
That does
Wood,
sound
but
cool.
I like waited though. I didn't pull the trigger just yet. But I was like, I wonder if anyone's read it.
Because I was like in the mood because I had read Sweet Girl by Jen Plummer, and then
Yeah, me too.
Kissed and Missed by Cleo. So I kind of got like my Valentine's Day novellas in. And then I was like, okay, time to go find some Taboo.
Kissed and Missed is on my list yet still for the month.
It was so good. I love all of her books. I like read Kissed and Missed, and then I went and finished like the 3 or 4 I hadn't read yet.
Yeah.
So I've officially read everything of hers.
that's
completed
she's like,
backlist.
Nice.
she is my age gap queen. That's what I told her. So
Does she do reverse age gaps at all?
none of them yet have been reverse age gap. They've all been men or older because a lot of them do have like a daddy kink in them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I was
But
talking
they're
to
all
Kelly
delicious.
Finley. She was like, I want to do a reverse age gap so bad, but they just don't sell as well as the regular
That's what I've
old
heard,
age
is
gap.
they
And
don't
so
sell as
then
well.
she's like, then it sucks because then are you writing stories because you want to read them and write
Yeah.
them, or you just
But still trying
But
to
you
make
wanna,
a
like,
profit
still-
as an
yes, you're-
author.
Yeah.
I think
appeal
I've
to the
only read
masses,
one.
like,
I think
it's
we
kind of a
mentioned
conundrum.
it one
So,
time. I
like-
think I've only read the one by Vanessa Vale and on a Manhunt series where she's older, like 33, and he's like 27 and a hockey player. That's like the only one I can think of.
all of Ashley's are Ashley
I was
Warren's.
about to say, Ashley
from
Warren's
the
are-
Backwater
yes.
Bay series.
I guess I didn't realize either because I don't know. When I'm reading her, I'm just in it.
Yeah. Well, and then we
I
have
don't-
Lessons in Corruption.
Oh, okay.
chat about
I've read
tonight,
I've
you know?
read a couple
So-
then.
So yeah.
Hey, I'm working my way up.
I feel like they sneak it in a little bit more, like it's more discreet.
Yeah, maybe that's why they're just not like coming to the forefront
Yeah.
of my mind. The one I always think
Yeah.
of for Vanessa is just because like that is the whole thing. Like she's very uncomfortable, the female main character. Like you're young, like you don't know anything, and they bring it up
There's
like a
a-
lot.
There's a
Yeah.
Daisy Jane book like that, and she's older and single mom with a baby, and she's like, "Why are you interested in me?" I'm like, "You're young." And there's like a whole lactation kink in there.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That could be really
yeah.
good.
The that Odette Stone Vancouver Wolves hockey series that had the penalty box that I was chatting about a couple episodes ago. The last book in that series is a reverse age gap where it's the rookie hockey player and the older woman agent, and that
Oh,
one's
that's gotta
it's
be good.
good.
That's
Yeah.
that she's on my list since you brought it up.
Yeah.
I just finished, which is perfect for today. I just finished my beta listen of Braving the Storm by Elliot Rose, and let me
How
tell
was
you,
it?
oh my gosh, I got to like beta read it before, but like there's something about Uncle Storm being in your ears and calling you darling, and I just was sitting there blushing like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? And like I owe a lot of my love for Taboo and like going into new stuff because of Elliot. Like if it wasn't because of her, I don't think I would have been fine. Just keep going years and years without it. Man, Uncle Storm and Briar, it was so good. And I was blushing and I had already read it. But
I
there
love
was
that.
it was because like how it starts, like when she's in
Yep.
his cabin and I don't know, he's just so gruff, and then just all of it, I was just like, gosh, like my cheeks were like warm, and I was like, this doesn't happen that often. But the narrators were both great, and I don't know, I loved it. We can chat a little bit more about that in a minute, because she writes a whole Taboo series, and I'm head over heels for it. But besides that, just as we mentioned it last week, I can't stop watching Survivor. And so I had a couple people DM and were like, I love Survivor, so this is for you guys. I am still on Survivor. I'm on season 46 now.
My
and
God.
the new season starts on February 27th. So when I was in my last pregnancy, I made it to season 44. And so this time I just started late, but like now we're in it and I'm preparing for the new season. Could I ever go on it? Never. Not one
No.
day. But I
Never.
could like to watch it and be like, ooh, they suck. While I'm
I
sitting
would do that so
in my bed.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, you're not playing the game very well, or like, you should have done that better. And I'm literally in bed and they're starving to death on an island. But it's fine.
We watch Traitors and we do the same thing.
We do too?
Like, we're
Did
like,
you just watch?
We would have
What is
not
that?
killed that person off.
Traitors. That's the show I was telling you about. That's the real life Clue.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Did you watch last
so
night's
good.
episode? Okay, I was shocked. Britt's like, what are you talking about? But I know a couple people, I brought it up before too. Vic, she loves Survivors and Traitors. I talk about Traitors with her a lot, but I'm obsessed. I don't know. I've been so in it this season. And
Oh, yeah.
But then when they got Rob out, I was like, oh my gosh, like not the king himself.
I know. Morgan went on like some deep kick because like we'd never watched like Survivor, Big Brother, any of that, but we watched Traitors, and she's like, wait, I kind of like him. So she like went back and watched his like Survivor season.
He
Yeah,
was
he
so
still
good
is.
looking. Oh, he still is. But like, I
No, people were
understand why
talking
he
about
was
the
like.
episode. I think it's the episode he ends up leaving, but when they're holding hands,
And he's like talking her through
coaching
it.
her
And he's like,
through it.
okay, so I'll explain it to
He's
you.
like, just look at me.
Britt, and so everyone that doesn't watch, they like put their hands into this like box and they're like dumping bugs on them, like Fear Factor style.
Okay.
And this is a real housewife that's holding his hand, and he's like, it's fine. Like, I literally could do anything. I was on Survivor. And he's like, you're okay. You got it. Look at me. Just tell me all about it. Like, what's your favorite food? When's your birthday? Oh my gosh. Like, I love that. And I literally was sitting right there next to Brian, and I was like, are you listening to this man?
He's like, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Just don't
What
think
a
about it.
dreamboat.
He's like,
Yeah.
just listen to me. And I was just, and he is married. He married Amber,
Someone
who
on-
was on Survivor. But I'm like really into it. I mean, I know he got voted out, but like literally when I watched all of it for the first time when I was pregnant with my son. So I was like seeing young Rob, and I was like, wow. Like, and he kept coming back after season. So then when he was on Traitors this time, I was like, oh, I feel really prepared for this. And then I just had finished season 44, and that's Carolyn's season. Like, she's brand new
Oh.
on Survivor, and she was incredible. So I don't know. I've been really into it.
We love it.
I keep
love
bringing
that
it up
for you.
every week, and Britt's like, I'm really happy for you. And I'm like, someone's going to know what I'm talking about. And I finally got
No.
a DM like, hey, I watched Survivor.
Yep, I
was
still
like, thank you.
couldn't tell you the last thing I watched besides the first half of the Super Bowl, and I was asleep within 5 minutes after the halftime show ended, like on the couch,
way.
passed out before 8 p.m. That's the
I
last
don't
thing
do
I watched
football.
on TV.
We did watch it.
I mean, the first half that I did watch was boring as fuck, so I don't think I
I
missed
didn't
anything
watch,
by
I
falling
think, the
asleep.
beginning because I was preparing for a live with Cleo.
yeah.
But and I missed the halftime because of it, but Morgan like paused it so that I could watch it, or she like
Yeah.
rewound it or whatever.
I watched the whole thing on TikTok, just the halftime show.
Yeah, so we watched the halftime show and then we watched the rest of the game just because we were cheering for the Eagles because my mom
yeah.
loves Jalen Hurts. So we were like, and we're not Taylor Swift people, so we were like,
I love Taylor Swift, but I'm not gonna. There's no way I'm watching football. Like, I don't like
No.
football, and it's hockey season. When people are like, "But it's football," it is literally hockey season. What are you talking about? Like, please,
Now it is.
please stop. It's been hockey season. We're getting close to to know who's gonna be in the
I was gonna say,
Stanley
is the
Cup.
Stanley Cup
I'm
soon?
like, what are you talking about? And there's a bunch of Blue Jackets players that are playing for Team USA right now. So like, no, it is. We are in hockey season. So when people are coming to me, I literally say, you need to DM Brittany. You need to go
got you
somewhere
guys.
else because I don't know what you want from me. So I'm really glad that you do watch that because now I'm going to be texting you like, are you watching this? Are you seeing this?
we watched the trade like for Thursdays we were watching Traitors, and it's a TV show. I completely blanked now, where they're like celebrities and they have to go like basically to military boot camp and they have to do all this kind of stuff.
Like the challenge or something? Or
I just completely
is it the
blanked.
one that JoJo Siwa was on? Okay, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called. Bryden can put the title up in here, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have
but
no idea what you're talking about.
It is funny to see them all do that, but it
Yeah.
was funny because Tom Sandoval was with her, JoJo,
Yes,
on that.
Tom
and that was-
Sandoval was on that season, and then we watched Masked Singer, and Tom Sandoval was on one of the seasons of that, and then he was on Traitors, and Morgan's like, oh my god, his PR person is like, you're going on every show, man.
That's because he got outed on live television at the
No, okay,
reunion
the-
for being a
the-
cheater with his fiance.
Well, the episode
Sorry,
of
Britt,
Traitors
we're just
last
going on
night,
a random
I at least know
tangent.
that story from like just being on the internet.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him because like we don't like do all that other stuff. I mean, obviously he messed up, but like he was talking on the round table with Traitors, and he's like, well, we know women are cheaters. And he meant to say traitors.
You should have seen me. I lost it. I looked right at Brendan like, oh, this man's going to start pulling shit about cheaters when he got outed. Like someone, like a cameraman was the one that finally outed him being a cheater. Like broke their NDA for Vanderpump Rules so that like she wouldn't marry him. And I'm just like, so when that came out of his mouth, I looked at Mr. Smut Daddy and I was like, this guy is about to enter the punch list. First man from TV.
But he's so like dumb. That like I kind of feel bad for him.
He's totally detoxing live on the Traitors.
And his face is always like, and I'm like, bro, thank God you're a faithful because your face. But when he was like, yeah, because women are cheaters, and like every woman at the table was like, oh, and I was like, oh,
because
you're
everyone knows that he's like a terrible guy when it comes to relationships.
Even I know that detail, and I don't want shit.
And that tells you just how terrible he really is.
God,
I know. I lost it. I had to pause it because I was yelling at him. My pregnancy hormones were like, oh, hell no.
Fight.
Well, that takes us into our perfect segue. No, I love doing a recap, and it's fun to know what we're watching and reading. I think it makes it more like a FaceTime call, and that's exactly what we're all here for. But you literally can't have Taboo, a.k.a. what Father Lib trademarked, family fucking without Lim.
Such an honor to be here.
But it's not all family fucking. It's just part of it.
It's just part of it. Yeah, because some of them aren't. But that's what I always used to claim it until I was like, there's more to this than that. But it's also just funny. It gets people like, what is she talking about? But I really can't think of Taboo without Lim coming into mind. Because I'm like, that's what we talked about. That's what I started talking to you with, and I was like, what kind of books are you into? And you were like, I read a lot of Taboo. And I was like, this girl is honestly way cooler than me. No, because I still blush at Taboo. So, and I've read 1,000 romance books at this point. But we can also, so tell us just a little bit about how you got into reading in case anyone doesn't know, and then like how you kind of found Taboo. Like what was your journey to it? You can talk about books that you had, that if you have them, to get you there, or like what was your first Taboo rec, or please tell the class.
Okay. I mean, I've always been a reader. Like, I think when we talked about when I was on last time, like, and then I got into romance reading like really deep in 2022. Like, I ended up reading like over 330 books that year.
Yeah, girl.
I was channeling my inner Libby.
Hey.
That was my 2023.
And then everything went downhill after that.
Same.
I was like, I got one book done. No, I'm just kidding. But I've talked about this with other people. Like, I didn't know, like, what tropes were, or, like, triggers, any of that kind of stuff. Like, I was in a Facebook group where people, like, posted recommendations. And if I saw a book so many times, I would just, like, go and read it on my Kindle and just start on chapter 1. So, like, I would have no idea what was going on.
You would just like skip over the like blurb and all of that?
Yeah, I would just scroll straight to chapter 1. And so like obviously my first intro into like deep romance was T.L. Swan, which is like great. It's fine. Billionaire romances, alcohols, whatever.
Yeah, they're just asshole men that have to grovel, which, hello, we love that.
Nothing wrong with that. And then I read Kate Stewart's like the Flock series, Ravenhood series. And so that was like emotional. And that was the first time I had
devastating. Emotional.
That's on Britt's never gonna read list.
I'm just gonna scan over.
We don't want that.
That is quite devastating.
No, thank you.
Oh yeah, I was on the couch crying.
False advertising when people say it's why choose. It is not why choose. So people need to stop saying that.
And I didn't know what that meant, and so I was like, I don't know what that means. I was thinking more like love triangle vibes because I didn't know what why choose.
And I would have liked it way more if it was, because I love love triangles. Hello, like Twilight girl to my core.
That was the first time I'd ever read a scene, obviously, where there was like 2 men and a woman
sharing,
and I was like, sharing. And I was
sharing
like,
is caring.
Okay, that was interesting.
I kind of like that.
And then I read Den of Vipers after that.
Oh, you jumped right on in. My mom loves that book.
I mean, I, once again, didn't read any trigger warnings. So, like, everything's happening, and I would, like, pause for a minute and be like, what in the actual hell am I reading? And why do I want to keep reading it? Because I was just like, he put a knife where and did what when the knife was where? I was like, what? But I enjoyed it. And
of that,
I was like,
please.
so I was like, okay, like obviously I just like whatever because, you know, it's fine. So then I started getting into Bookstagram and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I can really remember like the first like full, I guess, I'm trying to remember the first like sibling like romance I read. And I have a feeling it was Stepbrother's Darling by K.A. Knight because I had read other books by her. So I was like, oh, I'll just read this. So I think that was probably my first stepbrother
Have you
romance.
read For the Fans?
I haven't. I've never read Strictly MM yet.
That was my first step siblings and MM. So that combo.
Love.
But it was so
I've heard
good.
amazing
You would love
things.
it, Lem. Like, it's delicious.
Yeah, I've heard it's like the best thing ever.
It's been a couple of years since I read it, and I keep seeing it now again more, and I'm like, I think that's ready for a reread here soon. Like,
Yeah, I've been seeing it like trend on TikTok, so I feel like it's getting one of those like kind of
resurgences
yearly
of something.
resurgence. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
It's
was
on
my
my
first.
TBR.
So it set the bar high because that combination was good. Very good.
That's like chef's kiss. But then I just was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then if it gets thrown in, like, it's not something that like deters me. So then like when Sarah Kate's Salacious Players Club started and like book 2 is obviously
it's my favorite of the
step-siblings.
series.
So I was like, okay,
I
like
haven't read
obviously
those. I just gotta keep chiming in saying I haven't read that, but that's okay.
so good. Yeah.
Lem,
I
is
mean,
that your favorite of the series or no?
People ask me this all the time, and I really can't tell you. The 2 books I took to Sarah Kate to sign, because I was like, okay, I'm only taking 2, and I took Highest Bidder, obviously, because along with Taboo, I love Daddies.
Daddy.
And so I was like, obviously,
Daddy
I'm
Ronan.
gonna take that.
Clearly, that's why she's here, guys.
Yeah.
On the
So then I
Smut
was
Daddy
like-
podcast.
Do I take Praise? Because, I mean, that's another one I brought. Like, what are we gonna do? And I actually took Give Me More, because that was like, it wasn't the first time I read like a poly relationship, but there was just something about theirs that I just loved. So I mean, I literally said to
struggled with
Sarah
that
Kate,
one.
really?
Yeah.
I literally said to Sarah Kate, your books changed my brain chemistry, because I was like, they just altered my whole thinking process. But that one, it was hard closer to the end with like everything that happened. It was like really emotionally heavy at the end of that one. But
I
I've read
probably
like
love it.
I didn't like all the choices that were being made and the results of those choices. I
Yeah.
struggled with it a lot, actually.
It got hard, but then there was like she did a novella like holiday or special with them 3, and it just
she did?
solidified. It was very small.
I haven't
and it was
read that. Maybe that would help me because I ended that book not very thrilled with everything.
It felt like closure, because even though like that book closes and obviously you get pieces of them as the series
and like
continues.
Mercy, yeah.
Yeah, it was something like they needed their own little story,
Yeah.
like continuing on, and it was like how they're all fully functioning
Where do
together.
I get
like,
this?
It
Is
was
this
really
downloadable? Where do I find this?
Yeah,
It's gotta be
I'm
on
trying to
KU.
remember. I'm trying to even remember what the name of it is. I don't remember
Is
if it
this
was
a
like some
completed
type of
series?
Yes, and she's doing a second generation.
Oh, is it going to be just as like salacious, like, or is it just like
It's
a
their
different vibe?
kids.
Oh,
And see, I haven't finished the series. I still have to read Madame, but I'm nervous because it's another throuple, and of how I felt about Give Me More. I'm just like, I still haven't pulled the trigger.
how many books is this? What's it? Or what's
6.
the first book at least? What does it
6.
start with?
Praise is book
Praise.
1.
Okay.
I don't remember, but yeah, I grabbed Praise, which is ex-boyfriend's dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Age gaps.
that's really climbing up my list. I don't know
So it's
what
like-
it is,
It's
about
so
it, but I
good.
love it.
The Dom
really
sub
good series.
relationship is so good in that.
It is.
You know who
It's
wrote
really good.
one that? Sorry, that surprised me. Was
No.
by Keeland. Wrote that was my first
A Dom
ever.
sub one?
Oh, ex-boyfriend's dad.
Oh, dad.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Because it's by Keelan, which like she does do some things off, but like she writes a lot with Penelope Ward. But when she did that,
Yeah.
I was like, hello? But that was like my first one ever, and I was like a couple years ago, and it was really good. Then with Elliot, I'm always like, please keep writing this trope. Please never stop writing this trope.
Yeah, Praise was the first ex-boyfriend's dad that I ever read.
Birthday Girl was mine.
I still
Oh
haven't
yeah,
read that.
I forgot about Birthday Girl. I read it so early on that I honestly forget that I've read it. And then every birthday,
like I downloaded it on a free download day, but I just haven't done it.
And then I always see it like every day because it's like someone's Bookster birthday and they're holding it up. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that book. But then like the next day it'll be someone's birthday and I'm still like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that book. I just think I read it too early in my journey.
I would say like Ex-Boyfriend's Dad is a great segue if you want to test the waters to get into step siblings, because like it's all in the family kind of a situation. I literally wrote a list down of ex's
you got some
dad
favorites
books.
List them out.
So like obviously Praise. I mean, this was my first Sarah Kate book, and I went on and read
mine too,
a bunch of her books.
Emerson Grant, he's a good one.
He's a
I
great
love that
one.
cover.
I had to have the male cover. I normally don't do human covers, but this series I just
There's
loved
always a
them.
series that's an exception. Mine is
Yes.
Jodie Ellen Malpass with The Unlawful Men. I'm like, oh, those are the most handsome men I've ever seen in my whole life.
Brutal Birthright and Kingmakers, those two.
I
I'm
did
so
just
glad I
get-
have those men covers.
I
Those
actually
men covers
bought
are really
Vic's
good.
covers. She was selling them on Pengo, and I was like, I'll take every last Sophie Lark real cover you got, girl.
What a steal! Love
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
What others do you like?
Birthday
Bouquets.
Girl.
I'm like, birthday girl. Bouquets and buckles. Let's make your list.
Bouquets and Buckles.
Bouquets and so good.
This is I feel like Tempt is the best one
because
So good.
I forgot about it, and I even
One
made
Night Stand was so hot.
yes.
So good.
So
Like,
good.
Obviously, this series, the second generation of Cloverleaf Farms, is like what introduced me to Melanie Harlow, and then I
same.
fell
I just
in love with
grabbed
her.
the first gen's first book when Melanie just had it for free. I grabbed
I can't believe I forgot about Tempt. I forced Brittany to read that series
with Ignite. Yes,
so
that's
good.
how
because I
started
love
last
Ignite.
year.
Yeah,
both
so
do.
like Ignite was my first single dad, and that's
Yep.
when I was like, oh, I love the dads.
Yes.
And then obviously we ended the series with this, and I was like,
Completely
this is such
forgot.
a different trope for Melanie, but I feel like
Yes.
she does it so well. So if anyone's ever like, I don't know if that's something I'd come comfortable
Yes.
with, this would be a good one
Yeah,
because it's
Especially
like
with the small town
Small
aspect
town.
of it
yes,
all.
Yes.
small town and like all of the vibes.
And if you do
So-
read it last, now that I'm remembering, it sets it up perfectly. Like it just makes sense the way it all flows.
Yes.
That is a good.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
find. That's a good one.
So
Lynn.
this one is
Yeah.
like I feel like introduction book one, X's Dad Tempt by Melanie Harlow.
Yes.
But then these are ones I don't own.
Okay.
But Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue.
I don't
Your
think I've
dad
ever
will
heard of that one.
really. She
Yeah.
has like a whole series, and the covers kind of look like Ouija boards, and there's different like themes for each one. They're really good. She's really good. She does like Omega verses and like that kind of stuff.
I want to dive into Omega
I do
Verse
too.
more too. I've only read the one by Lana Ferguson, and it was pretty
I haven't read
tame
that.
from what I've heard. But I like really liked and how like in depth she went describing like just the way everything works because I had no idea. So I feel like that's a great introduction to Omega Verse. But now I want like crazy. I want more.
And more.
I would like to know where all the knots go. Honestly.
Where do all the knots go?
Speaking of that and white shoes and stuff and nodding, Hannah Cowan is working on a Omegaverse story.
Is she really?
That's so surprising.
Yep.
Not
She was
like in a bad way, just like, wow.
She's doing Omegaverse and it's white shoes. There's like I think 4 males in it.
See, that's where I was nervous at first because I'm just now like starting to appreciate white shoes more. I'm still very picky with them, and that's okay.
It's okay.
But I was nervous about the Omega because I didn't know if you could ever just be two. But if you're nervous about it, that's where Lana's the fake
that's just
mate
MF,
is. It's
right?
just MF,
Yeah.
but like it literally breaks down like all the hierarchies and the way like literally everything works. And so I was like, okay.
Sorry,
but
Len,
now I
didn't
am
mean to
ready.
cut you off, but I was just like,
you're
oh,
fine.
that I saw that work in progress.
I think your
update,
next
and we
one
were
you were going to
talking
say
about
is
it, so.
Your Dad Will Do. That one's on my list. I was
By
good. I
Katie
didn't know if
Robert?
it count.
Katie Robert.
Katie Robert.
So Yeah, I mean, it's one of her older books. So like, I read a lot of her older stuff when I first started reading, before like her new stuff with like the spin-off of Disney. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
But and then the Olympus series and all of that. But she has like 4. I think they're like taboo. Each one's like a taboo one. And Your Dad Will Do It, I think, is the first one in it.
It is, and all I can think of is that cover with the girl in the black dress walking away with red Louboutins on, and I'm just like, because I
really...
would see that on Kindle, because it's a fairly older book, like it's been around, and I saw it on my Kindle, and I think it's even on audio now, and I was like, what do you mean Your Dad Will Do? I was like, literally, what are you talking about? It was good. It was good. Ex-fiance, and because it's ex-fiance.
Yep.
Oh,
and I think he was cheating.
Dad. He was cheating,
like,
and she walked in on her, and then his dad was like, "Oh, let me show you."
His dad always had the hots for her, yeah. And so she like shows up, kind of like, let's just do this like one-time thing.
Yeah, because she wanted to like get payback, and she was like, you know what? I know you like me, so like let's do it. Because if I'm gonna walk in on my fiance sleeping with someone else, like I can sleep with his dad. And then one was not enough. One time was not enough here,
Never
folks,
is.
for that man. He said, if you're coming in my bed, you are not leaving this bed.
Yeah. Dirty man. It was so good.
That one was good. I had to write that one down. I can never remember the male main character's name, but that's the female main character's Lily. But
I can't remember their names. I just know they do the down and dirty a lot, and it was really good.
It's a very spicy book. Like
very spicy. All of them in that little series, because one's like a bodyguard romance. One is they're married and he shares her with his like best friend. I can't remember what the other one is. Maybe it's just the 3. But yeah, that one
it might be a trilogy.
Yeah, that one was so good. And then the last one I have is Daddy's Angels by K.A. Knight.
Oh,
so that's...
I don't know that one.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think it's an older one too. And then like Gravity by Sarah Kate, that one is kind of, she's with a dad and the son. So she goes back and forth. And then she ends up at the end of book 1 with one of them. And then the other one has their own book. Yeah.
Oh,
that one is pushing the lines for Father Lib.
I don't think I could do that one. Not gonna lie.
Can I be completely honest for anyone that's wondering, like, why? I don't hate why I choose or Taboo or anything. I'm coming way more around. But let me tell you what happened for now that we're in the episode a little bit. When you first start reading, or when you first get Kindle Unlimited, there are millions of books that you will never hear talked about ever. Not on TikTok, not on Bookstagram, not anywhere. And if you read one, like a random one-off, then it's going to suggest to you things that are also like one-offs that are like nobody knows about. And I read one that was just fucked up, and then I didn't realize though that early in my reading that that's what Kindle did. Like, you read this, so read this. So I was just like reading stuff, and I've told Britt some of it. That shit I was reading is fucked up. Like,
was it Why Choose?
I think it's why it put Taboo a bad taste in my mouth for so long, because it was Why Choose, like, blood-related taboo. The one I always bring up to Brittany to make her know where I'm coming at, and I'll just tell you it all right here. It's called Stuffed. It's a Thanksgiving novella where a dad and his
I remember the first time you told me this.
Where a dad and his blood-related children share her, and you just take a guess with your romance mind what you think that gravy on their turkey is. And I would say after that is where Libby said, you know what? I don't think that I like Why Choose or Taboo, because that
is a terrible one to base it off of.
I know, but that's where I just want, when people are like, I don't understand, because like I've really come back around. I'm shoving X's and O's down everybody's mouth by Kayla
So
Rose. And I got to beta read it for her because she wanted like a non-Why Choose
that's
lover.
a sign of a good author wanting
and it
someone
was
who's
fantastic.
not usually reading that genre or that
and it was fantastic
trope.
But like I feel like sometimes people are like, I don't understand. Just like, it's just the way that my journey worked out. Started with bully romance, so then you're reading bully romances, so it thinks like, let's bring in Taboo, but the KU Taboo was crazy in 2020, and I'm
Stuffed.
It's a turkey on a Thanksgiving dinner table as the cover. I'm scarred, folks. I am emotionally I need compensation for that one. And the thing is it wasn't even bad writing. Like, literally. It was good writing. But, like, I think I'm going to go to hell just for that one.
Okay, so do you think you could handle Sadie Kincaid's Why Choose series, the New York Ruthless, with the Ryan brothers? Because it's 4 brothers, but they don't sleep together, but they're all sleeping with one girl, Jessie.
Like, see, like, I think, like, the Ryan brothers for me is a good, like, that's my next step. Like, let's try a little bit more of, like, a family dynamic.
They're so good. Have you read them, Lem?
I haven't.
Oh, those are going to be right up your alley.
I haven't run anything by Sadie Kincaid yet.
Oh, tell us about it, Britt.
I know.
Lord, you're missing out. I mean,
I know.
They're Irish mafia, 4 brothers, Daddy Shane, Connor, twins, Liam and Mikey. They catch the girl when they're going after the Bratva. Like, it's just so good. She's a hacker, so then just takes a while for them all, but they all are together as a family unit, and it is a commitment because it's 6 interconnected books for the series, so each one ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. But
swords never cross because they're blood related.
Correct.
Okay, see, I can get that.
But
I can
there's
get
what
behind
I
that a little
call
bit.
parallel swords because they will share the same hole.
With Cum already in her from another brother?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's like where I'm like, okay.
But like what I'm trying to say with that, and I'm not sure if you caught it, Lib, maybe you did, Lem, was that like there's DVP going on.
Oh, wow.
So,
see, that's where I'm like, I'm speechless.
but I do want you to try it.
Okay.
Both of you. I think you're both like Lem. I'm confident you'll like it. Lib, I'm not so sure, but you should try it. It's great.
I also feel like Why Chooses that way are also a good way to segue into Why Choose, even though they're siblings, because you're not doing the sword crossing yet. Because starting off with sword crossing can be overwhelming. Because also your brain is like, where's what in doing what where?
We're big on stick figures over here.
We gotta draw. I don't have
don't
any
blame you.
daughters to have Barbies around, but like I need a visual. I need help sometimes.
G.I. Joes.
Yeah. Because like I read Den of Vipers, which was my first Why Choose, and like I was kind of like, whoa, there's a lot of bodies. But then I read the Malice Mafia trilogy, and they're all 3 blood brothers, and there's no like. They don't all have a full group scene until the end of the last book. Oh. So like, and they're all only focusing on her. So I felt like that was a really good, like, it's very dark, but I feel like it's good to get people comfortable into the multiple men.
I read the Sadie series on accident. I went in blind. I read her LA one, and I just was like, okay, we're going to travel to New York now. Sure. Do you
consider Why Choose taboo, or only if it's dark Why Choose?
I don't necessarily consider it taboo.
I could just consider it its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Why Choose could technically be a polyamorous relationship depending on the dynamic of it all. Because, I mean...
Like with the MF,
some of them,
like MM. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if they're all interconnected, like, to me, they're just a family.
Yeah,
they're family of people that are in a relationship together.
I just consider them a couple, but there's maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them. They're just, but they are together and happy, and I don't.
The darkest Why Choose I've ever read is Macabre Gods by Elliot Rose, and I
haven't read them yet.
So I haven't either. This is her newest one that's coming out on March 11th.
I need to. It's in my inbox, you guys. Thanks, Luna. But I still have to do my homework, and I'm going to listen to Noir Moon. So, but I have to do that first.
It's really good, but it was. I'm not saying that because it's taboo, but I just didn't know if that had its own classification. Because like with dark Why Choose, that was my first ever dark Why Choose, and I don't normally read dark romance that much in general. Like, we're looking at like your emotional girl over here. I'm like, do you want to cry? Yes or no? Going completely off of the opposite of that. Like, what is like the spiciest or like most out there taboo you've read, Lim? I would have to say mine is Priest.
I love Priest. I just reread it.
I haven't read it.
With Tyler, Bell, and Poppy. Who's that by? I can't
Simone something?
Sierra Simone.
Sierra Simone. Yes, thank you. That one was pretty out there for me as far as like, that is pretty taboo. I mean, a preacher that's devoted his whole life to God who's like, I think I'm going to start...
actually, the more taboo part of that book, it's not that he's a priest that's taken a vow. It's not even that. It's where and what
That's what I was going to say. And it's the fact that
that way.
they be fucking folks On the altar. On the altar, in the confession booth. I mean, anywhere in the church. And that's where I was like, when I was making my list, but that one always pops up when someone's like, have you read Taboo? I'm like, I've read Priest. And it was very good. Like, very spicy.
I don't know if I am going to do it. I don't know. It's like one of those books where I see it so much, but I'm just like, I don't
know if it would be a reread for me, but it's not like I didn't like it. You know what I mean? That it definitely liked it. But I remember reading it being like, this is like wrong. But I also grew up in the church and I read that early on. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I definitely could read it.
Concerned, and I don't know.
Like, I definitely could reread it now and be like, oh, that was just sexy and hot and amazing. Because they do have a really good story, and I really do like the way it wraps up at the end and the way Tyler comes about his relationship still, like, with God, but, like, understanding that he's fallen in love with Poppy. But I read it so early that I think I was like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. We just are fucking on the altar. And they never locked the church doors. That's what I want to say. Is they would never be locking those church doors. And I'm like, someone is going to open
even Midnight Mass, because I just reread it and I reread Midnight Mass. And there's like a whole thing where they're like role playing in the church on the floor. I'm like, you're not worried that some old janitor man, because my grandfather was a janitor at the Catholic Church. You're not afraid. He's walking by and being like...
And that's the thing, too. It's like, I wasn't raised Catholic, and I'm not really...
I wasn't either.
...in the church right now either. But, like, they make it very known in Priest that, like, he keeps his doors open. Like, that is a huge subplot. Like, in this church, the doors are always open, and someone's always here. And I'm like, and you're just doing it right there?
It's ballsy.
I know, but it's good spice.
Do they have an exhibition kink where they think it's cool to possibly be seen?
I don't think
or
it's
caught?
really mentioned, but I do think it definitely plays into their, like, forbidden, like, well, God's watching us, so, like, who cares if
she also she danced at a club. So they definitely has, like, this dynamic of being in the wrong, but also it's not wrong because you're just two consenting adults. Yeah. So there's just, like, to me, there's just a lot of different taboo elements in it. I don't even feel like the priest part of it is taboo.
Honestly,
it's just
the way it all plays around. Like, they're surrounding, and I feel like sometimes you don't consider surrounding a lot. Like, when you're in, like, a sex scene or whatever, you're like, okay, well, this is at a club, or we're fucking in the open or whatever. But, like, in this book, I feel like you are like someone that goes like, there, and you're sitting in the pew, like, and they're just over there doing really dirty
pearls,
literally. But it is great writing. I don't want anyone to think it's bad
really
writing.
Good.
It's fantastic writing. But for me, I would definitely say that's probably my most taboo. What do you think for you?
I was gonna end with this one, but we'll go right into it.
Let's do it.
The Wild by Kay Webster. I think I talked about this when I was talking to you guys, but I don't think it made the last one. So I kept seeing it everywhere. And
is that the one where the girl's grabbing her hat?
No. There's a man on the cover. It's like a black and white cover. There's like I think it's half. He's like a beard. He's a very attractive man, but it's called The Wild. And everyone kept putting it in that Facebook group I was in, and they're like, it's very taboo. You need to check your triggers. And that's when I was like, what is a trigger? Like, because I was like, I don't know what that means. And so that's when I actually read it, because you don't find out something until the end. So it's like, I needed to know that they were not blood related, because it is a daughter and a father. And so I was like, but they're you do not figure out they're not blood related until the end. So they're doing everything.
So the whole time you think like, that they are. Like, this is just...
Yeah. So
that would have set me over the edge. I'm not kidding. That one I would have done me in. Rolled over in my grave.
They're like going to live... They're like from California. They're going to live in rural Alaska. They're like in an RV. Storm hits. And like before the storm, she is like 16, 17. She gets in bed with her parents, and like there is some touching going on. He's like kind of asleep, so you're kind of like, he thinks it's his wife, whatever. Then an accident happens, the mom dies. So like they're in the bum luck middle of nowhere in Alaska.
Literally, yeah.
And like they're both they both get injured. They have to go like live in a cave, like all kinds of stuff. They end up finding like an abandoned cabin. Like it's like a whole thing. So they're like literally in the wilds of Alaska trying to survive. And like it's just the two of them. And feelings start, emotions start, and like they start doing it. And there's like known inbred people that like break into their cabin one night. They do assault her and like beat him up and like all this kind of stuff. Revenge is taken. But there is like a guy who like kind of comes out into the wilderness and like just checks on the people of the wild, and he's kind of like a police officer. I think he is a police officer, but like he confronts them because she gets pregnant, and so he's like, because she calls him dad still, so she'll be like dad. And so like he's like obviously like okay,
he thinks like, oh, you're assaulting your daughter and you've gotten her pregnant,
and it's not until the end where he's like, she's actually adopted. So, like, we're not blood related. But the thing is, they adopted her as a baby, so he's known her.
So he raised her.
I am
like,
turning over in my future grave.
I couldn't do it.
And I don't, but I want everyone to know, and them already knows this, I don't judge people for what they read.
You read
that
whatever the fuck you want,
that would mean they would have to judge me.
I can do it.
But I think that one would.
It was not a reread for me. So I read it, and I was like, you know what? It wasn't. The writing is actually really good.
Yeah.
The story, it's a survival story and at the end of it. And then book 2 was actually, I enjoyed it more. It's called The Free, and it's the police officer's story. So the inbred family, there is a sister, and they all assault her, and it's horrible. And he rescues her, and she's living with him, and they start a relationship, and you know, she's very sweet, timid, and it's just a really good dynamic. And he takes her to family dinner closer to the end, and you find out they're cousins. And I was like, and she's pregnant.
Up.
And I was not
actual blood related.
Because
how did it come about? Sorry, now I need to know.
Now I'm trying to remember, because this is
my
when
heart hurts for them. Like, why?
it was gut wrenching, because I was like not expecting it, because I was just like, oh, it's his story, and because you met her in book 1, and you know, it was like an inbred situation. You're just like, it's just their story. Like, I didn't think anything taboo was gonna happen, and so like it's this whole thing, and then he takes her to family dinner, and his dad is like kind of acting weird, and then they're asking like, who's your family, and like all this kind of stuff, and the dad's like, your dad is my dad kind of situation. I mean, your dad is my brother. And I was like,
am shocked now just listening to it.
And then the police officer guy is, of course, like disgusted
freaking
with
out.
himself. Like, he's like, he's like, I cannot do this. Yeah. And like, she's obviously like in love with him, and she's like, and he's like, no, like we can't. I mean, they end up together, but it was just like, they had like no idea.
Romance, weird snow version of The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. No, it kind of felt like that.
I don't do that.
It's a horror movie. I wouldn't have watched it.
Her brothers give The Hills Have Eyes like vibes. So then she did a like extended episode. Oh, okay. Yeah, like of the first couple, and like dad and daughter have kids.
At least they're not related. I can get past that.
No, but this is the one I didn't read, and I don't think will read. So they have kids, and while I'm reading it, she's talking about their children, and now one kid was adopted. I think he was a kid of the wild, and they adopted him. But there's like a weird dynamic going on with the children. And she's talking to him like, what do we say to them? Because we have a weird dynamic. You were my dad, like you raised me. And he's like, let's just not think about it. Well, then a third book came out. I didn't read it. I can't even tell you the title. It's multiple siblings and blood related sibling action. And I was just like, you know what? You do you, girl, but I think I'm gonna say
that is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
This is when I'm out. Deuces.
Yeah. It's like, but honestly, like I said, someone might really enjoy it. And if that's you, we're not yucking your yum. But we just are the type of people that wouldn't.
As someone with a brother and a sister, I was just like,
same.
It's gonna be a no.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hard.
That's kind of crazy, though. I've genuinely never even heard. I mean, it would make sense. It's never even come across my radar. But someone out there really might enjoy it. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does sound like some Snow Hills Have Eyes shit, though, and that scared me to death as a child.
I mean, there's some parts where I'm like, you know, like you're like, but then I was like, I'm in it. I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah.
But like that first one, I definitely had to know like that they were not blood related, because it's like, that's his daughter. I was like, what what is gonna happen?
what is going on.
But I was like,
That
okay,
is a
so that's
no-go
probably
for their father, Lib. I can
that's the
promise
most
you
taboo
that.
I've read.
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
I did ask. That's crazy, though. I do like
Yeah.
to have information, though, and I didn't even know something that like that existed. So who
Neither.
knows? A random listener could be like, I would like to read that. And honestly, go forth. And then come into
Yeah.
our DMs and tell us, like, did you like it afterwards? Like, this is the
To me,
information I
it was
want to know.
almost like a challenge. Like, can I finish this book?
Can
Like,
I finish it? Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. And when I finished it, it was like weird because I was like happy for them, but I was also like, is that weird that I'm happy for them? Like, like, yay!
What about you, Britt? What would you say is your,
I was just thinking about it. Honestly,
or just
probably
like a favorite taboo or?
for the fans is probably like the most taboo. I mean, they met their step siblings, as we said. They meet when they're in high school, so like 15, 16-year-olds, but like most of the story and when things actually happen and take place, they're in college. So they are 18 plus when the relationship develops and stuff. And that includes a bi-awakening journey, and
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
MM piece. So, you know, like that is probably what would be considered my most taboo. But just this past Christmas, I did enjoy Jessa's Why Choose Taboo. It was
Gives it to his dad.
son,
That one?
stepdad, and they share the
Oh,
girlfriend.
that cover is beautiful.
So yeah,
It was
such
so
a good
good.
cover. But it's not. I don't really consider it that bad though, because they met when they were. The son was an adult. The mom abandoned them both, and they just kind of relied on each other and supported each other, and they felt that connection. And the son already
Yeah.
had the girlfriend and brought her to the cabin, and it just worked. But I mean,
Yeah.
people would
That one's on my list.
consider it a taboo. So,
Did you-
yeah.
you
Did
read
you
it?
like it, Lem?
Yeah, I did like it.
Yeah.
I was like, the dynamic in that one is a little different than I think I've read with other books kind of like that. Just because, like, the son was so wanting them to be a family. Like, so he
Yes.
was like, I want this, like, us to be a family. Like, it was so,
Are
it was
their
interesting.
Dad, is it blood related or he?
No.
He's
Stepdad.
their stepdad.
Stepdad.
And, like, yeah,
and like he
nothing
was
ever
19
happens.
when his mom got married to the guy.
I gotcha.
So he didn't
Yeah,
raise
and, like-
him or anything.
No,
Yeah.
they only share her, but it was just like he wanted.
Right, yeah, there's no
That
swords
he
crossing in
wanted-
this one,
no.
but he wanted,
He wanted
them,
them to
all
share her.
three to be together
Oh,
as
yeah.
a throuple dynamic.
Yeah.
He did
Did
not
it
want
take a
like
little
two
bit
separate
longer
things or anything.
for the dad to come around?
No.
No. He was like in it. Like,
I mean,
oh,
it was
hey,
a
I'm here
novella,
for it.
so it was very
Oh,
insta
then I'm
love,
here
insta
for it.
lust. Like it was
Yeah.
very like
Here for it.
Yeah, it was like situations where it was like he was catching them or hearing them and like doing it
and like
on
the
purpose
son was doing
to
it on
tempt
purpose,
him.
like to get him
Yeah.
to like want to join
Yeah.
in, and yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly might have to add that one to my list.
It's good.
That one
I
sounds
loved it.
good.
It was good. Yeah, that one was on my stepdad. It was a side note since it's a little different than like stepdad romances, but
Yes. Yeah.
it's a good one.
That was good.
So, step sibling. That's probably what you have the most of. Is like on your step sibling. I have read
Yeah.
one step sibling, and I thought it was fantastic. If I'm being so honest,
What
with
was
you.
it?
Which one?
So I brought it up before, as in the whole series, but one of my all-time favorite series is the Deviant King trilogy
Rena Kent.
by Rena Kent, which is a bully romance. I went from Vi Keelan literally directly to Rena Kent because Shane East narrated a Vi Keelan book, and so Audible said you would listen to this and like it. And it was, I had no idea what a bully romance was, and it is bully. I have said it before, but someone came into our DMs after and was like, that was bully. Oh yeah, this is 2020 bully romance, like true bully. But in the first 3 books, it's about Aiden and Elsa, and Aiden has like 3 or 4 friends that are like his posse. And so then you get like book 4, 5, and then 6 is where you finally get like who would literally be like a dark shadow daddy in any fantasy realm. And his name is Cole Nash, and his stepsister is Silver. And Silver is like the main antagonist, like pretend girlfriend of the first 3 books. Like, you know all about Silver because you hate her. She's like in like trying to break them up and is in on it and used to sleep with Aiden, and like, so you hate her, right? Then you get to book 6 and you learn that for like years her and Cole have been sneaking around everybody and their parents, like because there's not blood related, they're a step. But there is a total and complete romantic suspense element in it that can't believe I've never thought about it. But like, it's all leading up for her book for a whodunit. Someone is like killing people that look at her wrong, like poisoning people, stalking her, stealing her underwear and all this stuff. And the whodunit absolutely shocked me. It's definitely one I got wrong, and I didn't think about it until I was thinking about our list. But that is, I think, maybe the only Stepsing I've ever read, but it's so good. Like, I've reread it like 3 or 4 times because I love that whole series. But that shit was crazy at first when I read it because they keep it way under wraps. Like, because they're in high school technically, and Cole's dad is like the governor. Like, they're and her stepdad, and then he eventually becomes like the president or like the vice president, and so they wait until they're in like their 30s to come out to the world because it's like gonna be some huge, Nash family scandal, because they've been step siblings since they were like 6. But it is dark because it's, dark as in bully. That's a lot of what I read as dark, is the bully aspect. But there's a lot of like BDSM and kink play, but the romantic suspense element is fucking crazy. My mom and I actually were talking about it when I was bringing this up, because my mom loves a good read, and she's like, you remember that crazy ass book where it ended up being someone, I can say who it is if you want me to, but I also don't know if you guys will ever read it, so I don't know, you tell me. Do you want to know?
I do want to read Rena
then
this year.
Okay, then I don't, because Rena says to start with this series and all of her universe, because they all are interconnected with uncles and best friends and bodyguards, but she says to start with this series, so I won't say the whodunit.
Okay.
It's been on my TBR.
I can fucking promise you will never see it coming. It's not like, it was on this page and this line in a random one-off. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but you're going to be like...
Maybe someday I'll be able to get back to reading series like in a row, because I don't have like so many other books
but
to read.
It's good, and it's obviously
One day.
taboo, especially because I feel like this is the type of British high school is honestly like college in this land. Like, they're just so old that it almost doesn't make sense that they're in high school. Like, not that it takes away from it, but when they're like, I'm going to class, I'm like, you're in college. Like, your brides are on like a British college campus instead of like a British high school. It's fantastic though. Rena has some of the best writing, I think, honestly, I've ever read. I got out of my bully romance because that's what she writes. Like, that is her bread and butter, is bully. But I want to reread. And then I've been saying like, I'm going to do that trilogy. I've read Aiden and Elsa like 18 times. Love them. But then I was thinking, like, what about Cole and Silver? They are doing some fucked up shit before the age of 18. What kind of step siblings, like, are your favorite? Like, what's some books that are your fave with the step sibling?
Well, obviously, Eyes on Me.
Yes.
I was gonna say,
book 2.
we got to talk about Eyes on Me. It's my favorite of the series.
This is a good one too, I think, for someone who's unsure about siblings, because like they didn't grow up together.
Yes,
so like
that's one of my like key
older,
arguments for them.
Yes, because he's older. Like the scene where she's like, it's her birthday and she's like braces and like she's weird, and like he's like in college, so like he doesn't give two flying flips about her.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care about you,
like,
child.
Was he like mid-20s or something, or did like?
Yeah, like he was older,
he was
and so
older.
he's like, I don't give a flip about you. So it's not like he was like attracted to her as a child or nothing weird like was going on. Like he literally does not pay her a lick of attention until he sees her on the cam.
When she's an adult.
When she's a grown adult being
See, I can get behind that totally.
Yeah,
I can get behind that.
And so then it's like the whole like, oh well, my stepsister's hot. Like, so then it's like that, like they're both adults. There's nothing like, to me it was not half the time I forgot they were step siblings.
Her finding out that he
is this. Sorry, she's a cam girl. You said I don't know if I will read it. I'll say maybe. It's not like it's a foregone no.
I mean,
but I don't
figures out obviously right away who she is and knows, and then like it's the whole thing of like then the reveal of how she finds out that he knew all along, and oh Lord.
Yeah.
That one didn't bother you, that he was keeping secrets? Are you telling me, Brittany, that you have a double standard going on right now?
That might be an exception, because I liked how that one played out. But I also like felt bad for her.
Because he was
like,
also pursuing her like off camera. So it wasn't like he was like only paying her attention when she was a cam girl and like ignoring her when else. Like he was actively pursuing her with it. So it's
I knew
kind
it
of
was
like,
gonna bite him in the ass. Like I was just like sitting there, like waiting for the
100%. Like,
shoe
bro,
to drop,
come
and I was just
on.
like, "How is this gonna come out? Are you gonna have the balls to tell her yourself?" Spoiler
it
alert.
kind of
No.
gives you the vibe of like, it kind of gives the vibe of the Miles High series, the third one, where they're like chat online. They have
Oh,
that,
yes.
or
Yeah.
that app or whatever. Mm-hmm. And
Oh,
so
yes,
like
yes.
he knows who she is fairly early on, because when she kind of says something and he knows it's her. And so like he goes like that whole book knowing who he's talking to, and she doesn't know who she's so it kind of gave
Yes,
like that
yes.
vibe of like they're interested no matter what, like,
Right.
you know. So
That's a great
that
one to compare it to, Lem. I forgot about that
Thank you.
detail of that book.
yeah,
It's been
so
a
it kind
while
of gives
since I read that series too.
Same.
God, that series changed my life. So there's a book called Wrong by Stella. I think it's Stella Reese. And I didn't even know it was step siblings. Like, she has several books, and I just stumbled upon it when I was like reading a bunch of her books. And I think like they're adults, like they didn't grow up together, but she like is attracted to him and is tempted by him and like falls asleep on his couch, like naked situation to like tempt him to give in. Like,
Darn.
I know this is
It
wrong,
just
but like,
happened.
oopsie. So like it's very it's like short,
Oopsie-daisy.
but it's like, yeah, it gets the job done. Then I think I talked about Step Brothers Darling by K.A. Knight, and then Sicko by Ammo Jones.
I've seen this everywhere, but I don't know what it is.
I have
I'm
they're
being so
foster
honest.
siblings.
It's
They're-
big on TikTok.
Oh.
They're foster siblings, and it's dark romance, so definitely it has like a very dark element to it. He is in an MC gang kind of thing, but he's always wanted to protect her kind of situation, and they give in to their feelings and whatever, but like there's no blood relation. They were foster siblings for a period of time and always stayed in touch, so... But it is dark. I mean,
Is
there's
it?
some messed up stuff in it. Yeah. So
Because of the MC aspect of it.
yeah, there's some, I think, assault and, you know, like that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And then I just recently read one. So this is to any author who's listening. An author posted on Threads, like, joking, marketing, like, people are saying this book is sick because she gets in the hot tub with her stepbrother, like, kind of thing. And I was like, sold immediately. Downloaded the book and read it that day.
I saw that thread. That was honestly perfect marketing because that thread blew up.
Yes, and I literally was like, woke up it was a Sunday morning, woke up early, saw that thread, immediately downloaded the book, and did not get out of bed until I finished reading it.
Oh,
That's
hell
amazing.
Yeah,
That's the type
yeah.
of commitment we like.
It's called Fractured by R.D. Baker. It's the only book I've read by her, but she's now on my TBR, and it was very different. So it starts off and she's like waiting outside of a prison. I was like, what is happening? Like at first I was like, is there like a book one? Because like what's going
Yeah,
on?
you're like, I've missed something
I've
already.
missed something. And so she is at a prison and she is picking up her stepbrother and her boyfriend, who it's been like a long time. Like they were
Yeah.
She was a teenager when they went into jail. She has not communicated with them, but she's like, I know they need a place to stay. They're going to live with me and
Okay.
they'll get on their feet kind of thing. So they move in with her and the boyfriend's ready to be like, let's start back up our relationship. Like, and she's just like, no. Because you find out they killed her dad. And it's bad. There's like a whole backstory of what happens and what everything goes on. But what happens in the book, which I wasn't expecting, is that her stepbrother and his best friend, her ex-boyfriend, whatever, they have feelings for each other. And the stepbrother is like, I want to suck my best friend's dick. Like, he literally is like thinking that. And so like they give in and start messing around, and she starts messing around with her boyfriend. They were boyfriend and girlfriend as teenagers, but then she's also like, I have feelings for my stepbrother. And then they're like, why don't we just all give in? So they all give in and they just all
sword
each other.
cross?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
an
Because they're-
MMF?
Yeah, because they're doing it, and there's scenes in hot tubs, and yeah,
I love
it
a
was-
hot tub.
It was really good.
That sounds
But I mean, it
nice,
was like the angst and the buildup of like, when are they going to give in and do what? And like, there's a whole scene where she's like, finally gives in with her boyfriend, and the stepbrother's watching, and she knows he's watching, and she's making eye contact with him. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Ooh.
Like,
Oh, I'm
it
in
was
here
really
for
good.
that, honestly.
it was really good. Yeah. So it was like By Awakening, like Second Chance, dark romance vibes. It was really
I'm
good.
here
Add
for
this
it.
one to my list.
I'm like, I am going to honestly add that one to my list, too.
Yeah, and it was literally just because of the threads. And I literally went on Threads afterwards, was like, Authors, if you don't know if this app works, this is proof because I've literally read this book today.
As a random little side tangent, I have been screaming at people like you should be on Threads. Like, it is fantastic. The reach and this way that their algorithm is working, it is incredible. I have found so many good authors and books from Threads. My TBR fucking hates me because of Threads. But I like too that they are these not like that they're, I hate saying like unknown, but they're just like lesser known, less talked about, less traditionally popular books. And that is what's fun, because it does kind of feel like the early KU days where you're like, I didn't even know that was a thing, like that we were back to writing it. And it does kind of feel like we're coming back around to kind of like the 2020 era of romance books and reading, where like bully romance is becoming a thing again, and like there's more taboo, and I'm just like, I'm here for it because I do think it's fun. But Threads is a great place to find like these random like one-off
and it's
books.
good because like it will pop up in your algorithm like on your feed, and you don't follow them. Like, I didn't follow her, never heard of her, and then I literally read that clip and I was like, sold. Like, follow, you now have a fan from a simple
the algorithm
thread.
is honestly fantastic. I feel like I can get more interaction and reach over there as a reader than on TikTok and on Bookstagram combined. Whatever their algorithm is killing it. So
it's crazy.
I know we have authors that listen, so if you are not on Threads, this is your public service announcement to be getting on Threads. And half the time it'll be a new author being like, I don't know what to post on here, but I have a book. Thousands, hundreds of thousands views and likes. Like, just post it. Just literally get on there and start randomly saying stuff.
Love that for all of you.
I know you're not you're not gonna do it. That's okay.
No,
it can be toxic too.
It's a dumpster fire from what I've seen from being on the outside. I'm just like,
I just always scroll on past that because it does give great recs and great books, and I've met a lot of friends.
I'm gonna trust that you're gonna tell me if I need to know something.
Absolutely, I will. You know I will.
I know. So I'm like, I got plenty of people over there living that dumpster fire life for themselves. I don't need to be over there. They will let me know if there's a hot book I need to read. I just thought of a random kind of reverse of this type of taboo relationship, going back to Sadie Kincaid out in her LA Ruthless series that I did first. Books 3 and 4 kind of like their own little like duology duet, and it's Best Friend's Daughter.
Oh, that's a good one.
Love it.
I'm adopted daughter, but still like daughter, like they adopted her, and like that's fierce betrayal and fierce obsession, I think, are those two. And one of like the key like selling lines that she uses in her marketing, which is really good, is like, if you hear her screaming daddy, she's not calling for you.
That's amazing.
That is fantastic. That is so good.
I don't think I've read any of them ever again. Like, I think that's like a one-off that have you ever read that trope, Lem?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I will read anything, and I feel like because I'm an age gap lover, like then you're gonna get all kinds of stuff, and that's why I always say like age gap. Like, to get into stepdad, you should go age gap, daddy kink, and then stepdad, and then like that's the trifecta to tempt it out. So like I do think
that's a good thing, because
that is.
There are also random one-offs though that fall into each one, like for me. But like as someone who has a hard time with age gaps, I do think it is a good way, like because I have found certain ones that I'm like, okay, this one is good. Or like you just learn the preferences, I can't say that word very well, that you want, like with your age gap. Like I learned like, okay, I can do an age gap, but I truly need her to be 18 when they meet.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I know. And I know I know.
Zeus and Lulu.
I read it. You cannot. But that's actually good. Like, we can kind of wrap up some things and really kind of dive into this whole series. Because I was like, I have never read, I have now, but I was talking to Britt and she was like, read it, like read the series. Then I start reading and every fucking book is an age gap or reverse age gap.
And I didn't even realize it until you were reading, and I was like, holy shit.
She's asking a lot of me, just going right in, because I know it's a motorcycle club, and I as a girl who would probably be murdered because she's nosy, was like, you want me to read about a boys club? Like, oh, hell no. Like, that's where I just have a hard time with motorcycles, because, like, I don't like
think
that
you're going to love it.
that they're like, this is a boys club. And I'd be like, well, I'm about to flap out mine right on the table, because, like, what the fuck are you telling me I can't go in here because it's church? Like, fuck off. So I was like prepared mentally for like, turn that part off, Libby. You're not a feminist right now. We are loving all of these men. But then it was like, this is his teacher. Okay, well, that's okay. And then it's like, this is less of the corruption. And then it's like, he's not raised her, but looked after her from afar for her whole life. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. And then it just kept going and going, and I was like, but they're damn good. I'm not denying
they really are.
that they're not good. But I actually have talked to Gianna a little bit in the DMs, because my favorite book is the least favorite series. Any guesses of what that could be?
I don't think it's the least favorite. Let me just preface that.
That's what Gianna said. They do not get the most love. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they get the most love, but I don't think they're at the bottom either. They're like middle of the pack.
I would absolutely just go in and read Danner and HR's story without a doubt.
Oh, that is such a good one.
I
love Harley Rose.
I am obsessed. Like, I would totally let him handcuff me. Please arrest me. Use your cuffs. Yes. Please, officer. But, like, that one I liked because, like,
I love that one.
He waited till she was a little older. And then I just think I really also liked the, like, suspense. We were finally really getting into some of the suspense with the undercover and stuff. So, like, you gotta know who you're talking to in your audience. So, like, of course I'm gonna eat that up. But they're my favorite. And sometimes people will be like, no, what about Zeus? And I'm like, but what about Officer Danner? You guys are just completely overlooking that man. I had a hard time.
Nova
I had a
and
hard time
Lila
with
the
Zeus.
most of that one. You had a hard time with Zeus. You did.
But it's not like it. And I want people to know the series is fantastic. It's so
and
good.
I will defend Zeus and Lulu until the day
loved it.
I die.
But
he's the only exception. Like,
he's like half on that line for me. It's like, this is like probably the only time I'm gonna be like, read it, because it is a great book. But like, did I have to stop and text Britt a lot? Like, a child. I'm like, a child. This is a child, folks. And I know nothing like bad happens, but I don't.
Bad
I just had
he
to
wasn't
like
grooming her.
I just had to get it in my brain.
She was pursuing him to get to where they were.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it was like the brand new mom in me, but I was like, you're telling me that a man has been watching my child for their whole life, and now they're.
That someone was, because their parents sucks ass.
And I know that, but like, it is the one where I feel like if people might have a hard time, they should just know a little bit about.
To recommend that, like, you have to know your audience to recommend it, because you can traumatize someone with it.
There are definitely people that I know just because like they are more of like the emotional.
Main age that the FMC is 17 when shit is happening. It is 17, and you guys.
I think that's why
in Canada, that's technically 18 legal in America.
Yes.
So.
But I do think you're exactly right. It's like, you just have to know your audience. Like, I think Britt did preface me a little bit. Like, hey, it's probably not going to be your fave, but like, this is what's going on, because I know that there are people that like do the small town or more emotional or romantic suspense, that if they got to that book, they would DNF it. Like, they would be like, absolutely not. But it's great. It is a good book. I really enjoyed it. It's not like it's bad writing or anything. It's just, it's definitely one of those taboo tropes where you're like, she's, in our eyes, in American eyes, she's a minor. And that man would be in jail.
I reread it in like November, and I was like, even rereading it, even loving Zeus and having 4 different copies of this book, I was still like, there are parts of this that are hard to swallow.
It's hard a little bit.
But it's like, he just gets away with it because he's Zeus. Scared.
I agree.
But when you like,
it's nice to hear though that you still struggled. Not like struggled, but like, you know what I mean? Like that, even when you're reread, you weren't like, oh, I just threw it out the window. Like, I think it's good.
Like, you're pausing and you're like, ethically, like, morally, like, what are we doing?
Right.
Is it okay?
Like, if I was
like,
17 with a man that age, it'd be like, what in the actual heck? But at the same time, I didn't live the life she lived, and I didn't, like, and I don't want to say this because I feel like this is so, like, basic, but, like, she does have an old soul, and
Yeah,
she
does.
They're one of,
I say
they're
she's
that
wise
couple,
beyond her years. Like,
Yes,
she's lived
and they're
through
that
so
couple
much
that, like,
shit.
If this was a fantasy romance, it would be different because it's like the fated mate trope to a
Yeah.
T in
Yep,
a couple that is
absolutely.
not
That's a great
fantasy.
way to say it, Lem. Yes.
Thank you.
But I
Because
also
it's
haven't
like-
read any fantasy where she was under the age of 18.
Okay,
Not
shush
one.
it.
I want people to know so they don't go in and are like fucked up. Because like even Throne of Glass, she's 18.
Yeah.
She might have been
But
an old.
in Canada, she's
Yep.
17, 18.
Yes.
It's definitely
I
a
love the
line.
argument.
I'm like, it's definitely
you.
a
It's
a
line.
It's a line.
They're my
But it's-
second favorite book of the series. I love them
But
so
I
much.
also think it depends on, like, truly, like, your life experience. I
Yeah.
was a little shithead in high school, and I dated men that were far too old for me. Like, gonna catch a case. So then reading it as an adult, I was like, oh, shit. I was like,
Yeah.
I can kind of see a little bit different. And I know not everyone is, but I love to be honest here. And I think that's where sometimes it has hit. It was hitting close to home. Obviously, I didn't grow up the same way as her.
Yeah.
But when
Right.
you're 17 dating an older man and then you get to like the age that he found her, you're like, okay, well, I don't know if I'd be watching a child that closely at my age, but
Yeah.
it's so good. It's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's needed. It's like definitely a pivotal
I mean,
point
it was
in
such
the...
a traumatic event, like, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is not just.
And I feel like if you read that and didn't read Lessons in Corruption before that, I
Yeah.
think you would be like, "What am I reading?"
Yes.
But because I
Yeah.
feel like Lessons in Corruption makes
starts off with a bang of like, hello,
Right.
I'm your teacher, even though you're 18.
Right.
He
is,
and like
yeah.
that's where it's like, okay, I'm
I
not
loved
saying that that's
Zeus's
right. but-
introduction in Lessons in Corruption, like when he comes to the school and saves her. Like, I just without that first introduction
Yeah.
and your bond and your building in Lessons in Corruption, I agree, Lem. Like, if people just jumped into
Oh, yeah.
book 2, yes, they're standalones, but it's so interconnected, that series is, that you really build on each book. And
Yeah, they're definitely interconnected, Brittany. I will full fucking name drop you for the trauma that you put me under. Just read
After the
it.
Fall. It's
Just
fine.
read it.
It's
I
gonna
get
be
to After
great.
the Fall. I am rage voice noting to her because I don't even read HEAs. You're stupid. You're the worst best friend in the whole world. Why would you ever have me read
It's-
this? What
it's
about
emotional.
the dog? I was livid.
She
I
was
was
so mad.
livid. I was
And I'm
100%. I'm
cackling.
not kidding. I was ready to throw in a friendship. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I was like, this is friendship ending worthy.
I was like, and then I'm
she's
like,
just like,
hello?
keep reading.
keep reading. I only
don't-
read Happily Ever After.
I don't want to keep reading that bullshit. I thought Brittany was about to be like, surprise! They were wine choosing all the time, and she had a side piece. I was about to be so pissed.
It all worked
No.
out, you guys.
But it's,
Yeah.
it's still good. Still good.
all good.
Still
Still good.
taboo. But I will never let her live that down because that's evil. That is so
Oh, it was so fun.
But
What
yeah,
other,
this,
like, type
this
of-
book is so good.
And the
so,
cover is
like-
beautiful. I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not drawn in general to men with long hair, but I mean, it's just perfect for
I
him.
am.
I am too. And he
I
wears
have
it
the-
well. And then when he cuts it off, oh my god.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Guess when I think he's probably the
So
hottest.
emotional. So emotional.
That man.
He is a
such
good
a
man.
good man.
Yeah.
Taboo, but good.
But taboo, but good. But yeah, I
Yeah.
have this. I have the discrete like versions. Then I have this one. I have the cover that's a
Yeah.
hardback.
Yeah.
And then I have a special signing edition. And I
her,
bought
her cover's really pretty. I love
yes.
that one.
And I bought 2 of these at a signing. And Gianna said, "I see a theme." And I said, "Mm-hmm." It's
You're like,
called Zeus.
you're like, I may be obsessed.
Yeah. But then I also put
Yeah.
like
Wrap us up
Daddy
here with
books
some,
in here?
yeah, like
Yeah.
wrap
Like-
us up with some daddy kinks and
Ugh,
all of
So I-
it.
Daddy
so
Axel.
these are like age gap daddy books. So obviously,
Latte Darling's your
Latte
favorite book of
Darling,
all time, right?
It's one of my top ones. Yes.
It's so good.
Axel was my first book husband, so top
Is
tier.
there a man cover for that one as well? That's the discreet.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
have the man cover. No, this is a special edition.
Oh, okay. It's beautiful.
I have the
It is
man
really
cover, but
pretty.
I couldn't find it. But yeah, this is I have this special edition of Smut
There's
Darling
a
and
silver
Latte Darling.
fox on the front.
Yeah, it's Wander.
Okay.
And then this is called Little Dove by Layla Frost. It is
That's
got
pretty.
daddy age gap romance.
Never heard of
So,
that
like,
one. That's a pretty.
This is really good. So it's kind of got like mafia vibes to it. He kidnaps her kind of situation.
I love that.
This has, you know, like the daddy role play, which I always feel like is a good lead up. And then this is also age gap daddy. These are actually little novellas, and then she put them all in one omnibus
nice.
or whatever.
Yes, and she has a pseudonym where she writes Small Town Cowboy.
Yes.
Ivy Jackson.
Ivy.
That's the
Yes.
same author.
Oh, okay.
Right? Of
Yeah.
the two cowboy books we have.
Yep.
Yep. So this is like the first one starts off with a Christmas theme, and his name's Nick, her name's Holly kind of situation, but it's got the age gap, silver fox kind of thing. And I always feel like that's really good to test your water of like a dynamic to figure out if you are into that, to go into stepdad. Because if you're not into that, I don't think you're going to enjoy stepdad at all.
I agree, because just from like talking to some people, they were, or like honestly seeing on threads, they're like, I liked this book until she said daddy. And I'm like, okay, you are probably starting to learn now that you're not into daddy kinks. And so like, you probably don't want to go into stepfather taboo because like, they're obviously going to play that up.
Right. And they might not always call the stepdad daddy. Like there might not be that dynamic, but there's some type of relation there that like, if you don't enjoy that, there's no way you're going to be like, I'm going to go enjoy a stepdad romance instead. Like it's just, you're going to be
like,
icked out by it.
With, I mean, I know he's not dad, but like with Braving the Storm, I mean, like it's on the nose. I am your uncle. Even though they're not, he was adopted. He's the adopted brother to her dad. But like, when I was doing my reread, I was my beta list, and I was like, oh, I forgot how much he like puts it out there himself. Like, would your uncle let you fall like off the horse, or like, would your uncle let you do that, or her being snarky and being like, Uncle Storm, and I'm just like, taboo tea, but it was so good, but like that didn't bother me. But I have seen some people be like, the uncle play was a lot, but it kind of was like their get off on it, like you're my niece and I'm your uncle.
There's another book I read that had the adopted uncle vibe in it, it's called, so there's a series by Lilith Vincent. The first one is called Brutal Intentions, which is stepdad.
I completely forgot about that. You just unlocked a core memory. I believe I've read it.
It's so good. He's like engaged to her mom, so he's gonna be her stepdad, and
that's the only one I've read from it.
He's closer in age to her than the mom, and like, I mean, he's still older than her. And he's got like kind of like family crime connections.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like mafioso,
I feel like I've
mafia
seen
family
these covers.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
You honestly might have seen it on Audible because I know they're on audio because
it's like a tattooed hand, and like there's rings on it, and she's actually putting it into like a comic book, and
that is so cool.
It is. I've seen clips of it, and I'm gonna get it when it's done because
that is so cool.
It's got the scene in it, but I mean, it looks like what you picture the books.
You
but
just
like,
unlocked a little memory for me. That's good. That's one of the ones I did in my bully. I was heavy in the mafia after bully romance too, because I mean. A lot of those go hand in hand.
The second book in there is called Brutal Conquest, and he is her adopted uncle. Like he's adopted. So like it kind of gives the same vibes as Braving the Storm of like,
and they play up the uncle in it. You just like come. See. Okay, I've read a couple more than I thought. You guys just had to. You just had to. My brain put a wall up. Like don't remember those.
They just filtered that away.
I think it's also because I lived in small town land for so long. My brain is like, you can't do that in small town land. That is not allowed.
Well, have you read any QB Tyler? Because she kind of plays that line.
No. When we had Literary Alexandra on, she is really good friends with QB, and she was giving us some good stepping stone books.
Yeah, the one that she told me to read first. Do you remember which one?
Mine was like Bittersweet Love or something. Novella.
There's a duet, I think, of that.
Yeah, she said that was a good stepping stone for me, but she was very flat out. Like, these are taboo. These are fucked up.
What was meant to be. That was the one that she said I should read.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite from her?
So, Love Unexpected has got like the stepdad vibes in it. There's like, I'm trying to remember because I've read them all. There is one where, like, I think he adopts her or takes care of her as a child. It might be that one. And then, obviously, things happen, later on. But, I mean, I've read a lot of her books. And she's not all, like, I feel like she walks the line. Some people go, like, they
Way
dive
over,
into it.
yeah.
Where she, like, has some where it's, like, people who might not normally read, like, into Taboo, like, might enjoy it. So, like, she does really well.
I mean, not Taboo, but I do know that she's not afraid to write a cheating trope too. And
yes.
I don't read them that often, but if they're done right, I can get behind them. But
I don't like them.
I think with her writing, that it just, you have to have good writing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have good writing and you don't have that good of a story, or vice versa. So I feel like because she has such good writing, that's why she can, I mean, she's done it quite a few times and people love her. She's definitely on my TBR. I know there are some, I've been told there are some, like, more that I would like than others, but I'm always down to try new things. I mean, I'm really
like,
trying to expand.
Some of them are just, like, severe age gap, where they're, like, one of them, more recent one, it's, like, her best friend's dad, like, that kind of situation. So, like, there's just, like, severe age gap kind of
I
thing.
just read a best friend's dad. It was really good. It's coming out.
The last one I did was Elliot's.
Yeah.
The bouquets and
buckles.
Buckles, yeah.
That was
and
really
I loved
good. I
it.
enjoyed
I
that
loved
one
her
so much.
pink hair, and
Yeah.
I loved that she was into flowers. But I think that was the last best friend's dad I read, which was good. And it's just a little Christmas spicy novella. Like, until the
that
snow
was so
melts.
good.
I'm like, until the snow melts. Hell yeah, it better keep snowing. I was stressed out that the snow was going to melt too soon.
I think you're going to like this one that Kelly wrote, Lib. It's Mafia-esque, like it's ex-Mafia, secret society. It's MF, but there is like an initiation scene.
I'm okay with sharing is caring for Mafia and stuff, because, like, what else are you supposed to do? He has to get territorial of you somehow. That's, like, my exception. Like, share her once, and then, like, be so territorial that you're like, I'm gonna blow your head off if you look at her again. And I'm like, sold.
Nash by Kelly Finley.
Yes,
I'm so excited for everyone to read that one.
I am so ready to read it. Oh, yes. I need it. Sorry, Lem, we didn't cut you off.
I don't care. I'm the guest here.
Exactly.
Y'all are the main show. I'm just here talking about my weird obsession with step parents and stuff.
I love it. Which book is that?
Yes, love it.
The last one is this has got two books in it. It's the Power Brothers. This is a special edition by Cassandra Robbins. But book one is called Power, and he is her stepdad. So there's a scene, and the scene will live rent-free in my head, where, like, so he's married to her mom. They have a horrible, like, it's not a vibe. And she comes home to visit. He's never met her. And she's, like, hooking up with, like, a boyfriend situation. The boyfriend is attempting to go down on her. Okay. It's not enjoyable. And he walks in, and he's like, what are you doing to my stepdaughter? And, like, get out. And then he's like, I'm going to show you how it's done. Like,
This is how it's really supposed to be done.
We love a man that takes charge. We need a man to take charge. Lord help us all.
So then they start sneaking around and all that kind of stuff, and it was really good. And then the second book in that is Rule, and it's his brother, and that's like a professor-student situation. So
I mean,
so
they're not normally taboo, like, for age, but I have read my fair share of, like, my college professor. You know what I mean?
That's what it was.
Haven't honestly read that many besides, like, Lessons in Corruption, where they're in high school and doing something.
They're in college, and, like, he's trying to become, like, the dean, so, like, he's really got, like, a lot of like, focus on him. And then some young thing comes in and tempts him and takes it all away.
What is it about school that makes everyone so horny?
Professors in glasses, that's what it is.
Hell yes. Men in glasses, always a win.
I had a hot college professor, and I understand the vibe.
Honestly, this is probably too much, but I had a hot 7th grade typing teacher, and I have brought him up multiple times in my adult life when anyone's ever said it. And I'm like, I'll never forget him. I even remember his name. Like, I just am like, hey. And we were literally in 7th grade, and he's married to, like, she could be a supermodel. But I just remember in 7th grade, we took typing, and I was like, damn, I did learn a lot. I mean, we're old. We took typing classes, okay?
I know.
But I'll just never forget you, Mr. Oyster. That was his name.
Oh my God,
Mr. Oyster.
It was Mr. Oyster. How you doing out there? Someone from my hometown's gonna be like,
mine was high school, and his name was Coach Wiley, and he was the football coach.
A lot of people
Everyone-
had it for football coaches. A lot of people in our high school liked our football coach, and I was like, no.
He was so hot, and he did the Excel class, like where you learn Excel. Who teaches that? And
Hey,
We're really aging ourselves here.
what's important information and knowledge to learn?
so
Okay.
dumb, so dumb. I became really good friends with, I don't want to say a nerd, but I became really good friends with someone who enjoyed doing homework, and the homework was like you would have to go home and make a spreadsheet, which is funny because now I love making them.
Yeah.
But like,
It's like your
you
job.
have
But in high
Right.
school, you don't want to do that.
No, and like, so your homework was on a flash drive. So he would just put his flash drive into my computer. I would move some stuff around, change the name, and then just give him his flash drive. I'm like, ooh, my homework is done. Like,
Kids will
come on
never
now.
understand. We had it
No.
in
It's
a
really
lot of
hard.
ways.
Dumb stuff.
We had a lot of ways easier. People are like, but chat, GT, whatever, AI. And I'm like, no, bro, we could just cheat. I graduated
Yeah.
high school cheating off my friends that knew I was looking at their papers half the time. Like, get out of here.
I mean, that was like the only class where I was like, I'm not going to do Excel.
I liked the things no one else liked. I was like, I like German. I took 5 years of German. You know, I'm like, I like anatomy. I like
I
reading.
loved
anatomy.
calculus, algebra,
Ew,
calculus. like
get
the
out of
math
here, you
stuff.
weirdo.
Love it.
Gross.
I know.
Bryden's gonna be throwing his hands up in the air, screaming of joy. I hate math. And when
Hated
he
it.
maths, I'm like, no. Like, girl math was literally invented for people like Libby.
But the answer, there is an actual answer, and when you figure out how to get from A to B to get the answer, like, it's just the greatest feeling
Let
ever.
me
And I
tell you-
never figured it out. That's
I'm
why I
like,
choose
let
it.
me tell you. Yeah, when they started putting letters in with numbers, you fucking lost me. That's like basic algebra 1. I was fucked.
And
Oh,
I got
love
put
it.
in advanced math, and I was like, I'm dumb.
I got
Like,
put
so
into
thankfully, my
no. I
senior
got
year,
put
didn't have
into
to
dumb
take
math. You guys remember Study Island with blue ribbons? Yeah, that was me. Libby has to go to her own little classroom because she doesn't know how to do fractions. I still don't, bitches.
Me neither.
And
That's what a
it
calculator's
really,
for.
It got me so far. My calculator's name is Mr. Smut Daddy. And I got no
love it.
shame in my game. Girl math was meant for people like me. Like, well, it's $50. There's tax, so it's $60. Brian's like, that's wrong. No, it's not.
What are you talking about?
You're lying.
Or how Morgan does girl math. She's like, this is $50, so it's actually $100. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Or like gift
Sure.
cards, free money, or you get something
Yeah.
back
Yep.
and it gets put back on. I say free money. Brian's like, that's not free money. You already spent it. You're lying. Stop it. You're lying to me. I know how money works. I don't. We would be financially corrupt. I am a mafia man's worst nightmare. They have no idea where their money's going.
Oh, love it.
Oh, this was fun. We love having you on. You are
Thanks.
the best. I think that's a great wrap for taboo kind of age gap, tiptoeing the
Forbidden.
line. Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
It covers a big spectrum, but I feel like there's definitely something for everybody. Like,
Yes.
take it from me. Trust me. You can find something out there, folks, that you love and like, because, I mean,
And you may not love them all, but there's always those exceptions. Go out and try and
Yep.
find them,
yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Not all the time. You don't want to rage read every day, but,
I
No.
don't
take a
rage
risk,
read.
take a chance.
I barely ever rage read, but there's definitely something out there for everybody. And also, don't be afraid of DNF. Don't think that
Yeah.
because one of
Even
us
though I
loved
suck at
it. Yes. You know,
Do as
just
I
because
say,
one
not
of
as I
us
do.
loved it doesn't mean we're gonna have any hard feelings if you DNF it. Keep your peace. Enjoy what you read, but also don't be afraid to try something. That's okay. We're all
Yep.
just,
Yep.
there's so many books out here. We could have a podcast for 100 fucking years.
True.
And don't you worry, folks. I already am thinking about making them come back.
Heck yeah.
So it'll probably be post baby, but I'm literally was like, she's going to come back again, right? She's not going to be sick of us?
Never.
Never.
Britt is answering for you like she loves us.
It's not
obviously.
allowed. So
No.
I'm like, as your employer, how can I make this? Or as you as my employer, I'm like, how can I use this to my benefit as your employee?
I will come on as many times as you want.
Yay!
Yeah.
Make sure that you follow Lemmy, even though you all already are, as you should be, but we will link her down below. Make sure to check out Luna Literary. We got a shit ton of arcs out there, folks. You want to talk about finding what you like and what you don't like or trying something new? Sign up for an arc. Go and try it.
Yeah.
We literally have like 30 right now.
We have a lot.
It's
like, no
not
lie,
like-
we have every day I'm like, this is the highest number we got. And then the next day I'm like, this is the
Yes.
highest number we've gotten. I'm like,
Yes, and there's always new ones coming, so go join over there. We'll link that. We will link our Facebook group for Luna. Lim does it all. She runs a tight ship, and I will be in your emails. And I am very good at emailing you guys back. But until next time, friends, I am your host, the Smut Daddy or Father Lib.
And I am your co-host, Sister Britt.
And this is the beautiful Lemmy in between us. And we will see you guys next time. Peace and
Bye.
blessings.
Bye, guys. Peace and
Bye.
blessings. Bye.